And most gracious Father, we would like to thank you for everyone gathered today. As we surrender in adoration, we ask for your blessing over today's agenda. We pray that this undertaking will be successful and effective in your name. We ask for wisdom and knowledge to understand and retain the information presented to us today, Lord. We'd like to pray over the speakers that they be well equipped and prepared to fulfill the objectives of today's seminar. We thank you for the Grant Thornton family and the opportunity you have given them to assist in this preparation, Lord. Be with us throughout the day and cover us as we depart. All these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Natalia. Again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Andy Gomez, and I am on the staff of Grant Thornton Bahamas Chartered Accountants. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this Grant Thornton seminar on value-added taxes. The Bahamas and taxation. Who would have thought that this day would come? Years ago, the word taxes never would have been uttered by the government of the day or even opposition politicians. The PLP governments of the 1970s and 80s, along with the F&M government of the 1990s, would not dare speak about taxes in the manner that it is discussed today. A discussion on value-added taxes, or even the gaming bill for web shops, never would have been discussed. However, had those past governments hired a futurologist, that person would have signaled Bahamian taxation decades ago. In May of this year, my partner and I attended Grant Thornton's America's Partners meeting in Miami. And our international firm, Grant Thornton International, announced that it had hired a futurologist. At first, I was skeptical and immediately thought about all the futurologists who I know who hang out at Arawaki, enjoying a couple of cold ones. But seriously, a futurologist studies futurology, which is the study or forecasting of potential developments, as in science, technology, and society, using current conditions and trends as a point of departure. And at the conference, when the moderator disclosed that the futurologist that Grant Thornton hired was the same futurologist hired by Shell Global and other Fortune 500 and 1,000 companies, I really started to pay attention. For instance, a futurologist can tell a company or entity or government what practices employed today will probably be obsolete in a couple of years or longer. The typewriter or even the fax machine, to a certain extent, have become obsolete. And a futurologist probably foretold that to that same point to many manufacturers of typewriters. For instance, futurologists have predicted the following by 2030. 10% of all global financial transactions will be conducted through Bitcoin or Bitcoin-like cryptocurrencies. Also, we will see the first city by 2030 to harvest 100% of its water supply through the atmosphere. By 2030, futurologists have predicted that scientists will have perfected the active cross-species communication system, enabling some species to talk to each other as well as the humans. By 2030, futurologists indicate or predict that the first hurricane will be stopped by human intervention. As the Grant Thornton at the conference earlier this year, futurologists have predicted that by a certain year in the future, that I will not disclose, all Grant Thornton partners will be retired. And and will be replaced by new partners. And for Grant Thornton, what will the business model be? How will those partners react to business in the future? Perhaps futurologists would have predicted 20 or 30 years ago exactly what is happening today in the Bahamas. And that is the expansion of the tax base in order for any government of the Bahamas to adequately sustain the growth and development of the Bahamas. What will futurologists say about the Bahamian economy in years to come? Consider this. The International Labour Organization, the ILO, a UN agency, underscoring the deepening impact of the global economic crisis that erupted in 2008, stated in its recent annual Global Employment Trends report that an estimated 202 million people were jobless in 2013, up by nearly 5 million in 1 year. Also, even based on consistently too optimistic IMF forecasts of global economic growth increasing to 3.6% in 2014 from 2.9% in 2013, the ILO said the unemployment toll would reach 215 million people by 2018. However, should a sustainable economic recovery fail to materialize once again, that number would rise to 220 million people being unemployed in 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, countries around the globe must expand their tax base, protect their borders, take inventory of their resources, and in the Bahamas, today they are faced with value-added tax and other taxes on the way. Welcome once again. I'm also proud to say that we have with us a young man from our Grant Thornton office in the United Kingdom who will be making a major presentation in the form of Alex Wolf. We also have Mr. Pedro Delaney, who is a chartered accountant and a principal of Delaney and Associates Chartered Accountants, and a good friend of Grant Thornton. My partner, Ken Christie, will also be making a presentation. And we also have, and we're pleased to have, in our presence to open the seminar, the Honorable Michael B. Halkias, who was born on February 1st, 1969 in Nassau, Bahamas, to Inez Brown. He attended Old White All-Age School in Cat Island, Yellow Elder School in Nassau, and is a graduate of the St. Augustine's College in Nassau. Mr. Halkias began his higher education at the College of the Bahamas and earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Economics from the University of Western Ontario in 1991. Mr. Halkias was elected to Parliament for the first time in May 2002 as Member of Parliament for the Adelaide constituency and served as Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Finance. In 2007, he was appointed to the Senate. Following his successful campaign in the 2012 election, he became the Member of Parliament for Golden Isles constituency and was appointed Minister of State for Finance by Prime Minister the Right Honorable Terry Christie. Mr. Halkias is married to Tracy Roberts Halkias. They have two children, Iran and Soraya. Ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome Mr. Michael Halkias, Minister of State.
Very much, Mr. Gomez, for that introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I have the pleasure of speaking to the Chamber of Commerce luncheon earlier this week. They're having a similar education program. And as I came up, I said, well, I need to take those dates out of the introduction there, you know. Because when people hear that I got my degree in 1991, and myself, I'm beginning to be amazed that that was 23 years ago. But good morning to you all. First of all, I want to thank Grant Thornton for inviting me here this morning. I'll be very brief. And I want to congratulate them for putting on this seminar in a bid to educate their clients and the wider community, not only on the importance of tax reform, but on really getting a fundamental understanding of what is being proposed and what will come into effect on January 1st, 2015, and the signals that this education process, of course, will go on now up to implementation and beyond implementation. I was very, very intrigued by the concept of a futurologist and what they can do, and the fact that they have convinced people they have a whole lot of money. So those food critics and movie critics. Okay. But I wanted to just say how pleased I am to be here with you this morning, and to say, just in a very short introduction, that the VAT reform that we are doing is a very, very important part of a more fundamental reform of our fiscal system. We all know that beginning around 2008, we in the Bahamas began to really feel the effects of the global financial crisis. And we endured that, and we're still feeling some of the residual effects of it. What that crisis magnified to us was that our revenue system, our system of taxation, was really, really inadequate for the purposes of providing services in a modern society. For many years, we've been able to mask that deficiency because we had instances of boom and one-off transactions that sort of masked it, and we could go along and we were running deficits consistently, but sometimes they would be larger, sometimes they would be smaller, but cumulatively we got to pile up, and when we saw the global financial crisis, the whole system, or the whole problem was exacerbated, and it really came home to us that the system that we have, i.e. the reliance very, very heavily on customs duties, of course, only imposed on goods to the exclusion of services, which is the bulk of the economy, is really inadequate for us. And so the government has embarked on a major structural reform of the Bahamian tax system, both in terms of modernizing the collection of existing taxes and the introduction of the value-added tax. I want to say too, ladies and gentlemen, that in 2013, February 2013, the government released a medium-term fiscal consolidation strategy. It was the government's plan to get the financial house of the Bahamas in order over a period of years. And that consisted of four major parts. Firstly, we gave a commitment to restrain the growth of government expenditure. Secondly, we committed to doing a better job of collecting the taxes that are currently on the books. Thirdly, we realized that expenditure restraint is taken too far and slow the economy. And we realized that there's only so much revenue, so much improvements in revenue collection that you can get from improving your administration. So we realized that we needed to grow the economy. And so extensive efforts have been put into attracting foreign direct investment and encouraging Bahamians to get involved in the economy. So there's an emphasis on growing the economy. In addition to those three elements, we recognized that we needed to reform our tax system, hence the introduction of the value-added tax proposal. And that proposal follows years of extensive study and discussions to determine how best to modernize our system of revenue collection and how such reforms can be situated within a comprehensive action plan that promotes more efficient collection and enforcement of existing taxes, a disciplined approach to government spending, and a heightened focus on growing the economy. I want to just take a couple of seconds to go through what some of the things we're doing to better collect what's on the books, because if you listen, you hear people say just collect what's on the books. We are in the midst now of a major modernization of the Customs Department and their operations. We are pursuing an aggressive plan of action to bring customs, practices, and procedures up to best international standards. Modernization includes measures in respect of business process reengineering, i.e. how to do business, especially in the audit area. We're concentrating on strengthened enforcement, investments in brand new customs IT network infrastructure, procurement of mobile communications and portable scanners. We're going to mobilize a marine unit and K9 unit, and we are renovating some existing training sites to better deliver training to these customs officers. Another major source of government revenue, real property tax, and we're pursuing modernization in that area as well. We're investing again in a new property tax management IT system to improve the coverage ratio of the tax system, i.e. to make sure those who should be, the properties that should be on the tax rolls are there. We need to provide more accurate tax information, and we have to do a better job of managing arrears and collections. We have implemented an arrears action plan, which involves the contracting of private firms to assist with the collection of outstanding property taxes. We're also looking at property tax legislation to see how best we can modernize it to bring it in line with best international practices. On the area of containing government expenditures, our containment and control of public expenditure is supported by concrete actions to restrain the growth of spending and make spending more efficient and effective. In the area of public corporations, the Ministry of Finance is exerting more direct oversight of their financial affairs to ensure that they strive for greater levels of efficiency and effectiveness, and that they are subject to greater accountability to the government. Also, we have established a debt management unit within the Ministry of Finance, consisting of officials from the Ministry of Finance, the Treasury, and the Central Bank. Through this committee, a new debt management policy framework has been developed to minimize the financing costs of government debt while also minimizing risks. We've been doing various hedging operations to protect us against interest rate risk. And so, you see, I wanted to give you that brief snapshot, ladies and gentlemen, to let you know that we are not solely focusing on the introduction of the new form of taxation. We are also addressing the other areas that have vexed us so long in this country. I imagine that as you go through today and the presenters talk about compliance, it will become clear to you that we have adapted our framework to make compliance as easy as possible for business. So you will know that there will be, for the very largest firms, they will have to file their returns monthly, and smaller firms can file either quarterly or semi-annually, and the return forms have been designed to be completed in a very short time. Additionally, earlier this week, on Tuesday, we announced the private sector task force to assist with education of the VAT process. Our advisors told us that sometimes people like not to hear so much from politicians, but they want to hear from private sector individuals who have to deal with the policies that the government is implementing. And so we took that advice and we established a private sector education task force made up of business people to assist us in the outreach and the dissemination of information. Co-chairs of that task force are Jasmine Davis, who is the past president of the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountants, and Edison Sumner, who is the executive director of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation. Another member is Mr. Andrew Rogers, who is the president of Nassau Glass Company, and I think also involved in some manufacturing. He's also a member of the Bahamas Trade Commission, so we believe that he will bring valuable insights from not only the manufacturing sector, but also as it relates to exports and our international relationships. And the fourth member of the task force is Mr. Gregory Bethel, who is currently president of Fidelity Bank and who has vast experience in the area of financial services. And they would be charged with outreach, advocacy, and assisting with the media campaign to disseminate more information about the value-added tax. Finally, as I move to, I want to tell you a bit about preparations that have been going on for implementation, because there has been, for at least 2 years, very, very extensive preparation that the public might not have been able to see, but that work has been going on for preparation. And just a brief update. Our objective is to register as you know, the VAT registration threshold is $100,000 in annual turnover. We need to register approximately 4,500 businesses over that threshold and our goal is to do it by November 30th. Officers from the VAT office commenced advisory visits with the top 100 businesses in the country and corporate services providers on September 15th. And what they do is go into these businesses, sit with the accountants and the management, and walk them through the whole process of registration, compliance, and filing. We are also planning focus groups and discussions workshops on how to register for VAT, and those have begun for small and medium businesses. And as they are continued, you will see those locations publicized. We want to commence our official online registration on October 13th. The registration form is designed to be completed within 15 minutes online. We want you to go online and be able to complete the registration within 15 minutes. To assist those who might have difficulty or who might not be so savvy, we will establish registration kiosks in various government offices and public centers. And all of these activities will go on. I wanted to say, in terms of online registration, we are testing the system with load testing to make sure that it can withstand maximum load in terms of people coming on, either looking, browsing the site, or registering. So that testing is going on now, and our aim is to have online registration begin on October 13th. I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, that we believe that what we are proposing, the legislation, including the regulations, set out a solid world-class policy and administration framework for the Bahamian VAT that we believe would be successful in adapting our tax system to be more efficient and adequate, meeting the needs of a modern system of governance. We have been collaborating closely with the private sector, inclusive of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce, the Bahamas Hotel Association, the Bahamas Financial Services Board, a number of industry groups as well in Grand Bahama, with the Grand Bahama Port Authority, and we're happy to be able to partner with firms such as Grant Thornton in delivering this, not delivering, but just assisting with this educational forum. I believe we have officers from the VAT unit present here today to be resource persons. Could you stand up, please, just so we can recognize you? In the back unit, at the back, on the outside. They're here? Well, they don't want to stand. They're here today to assist in answering any questions that you might have. Once again, congratulations to Grant Thornton for taking this initiative. They have been one of the leading firms in terms of education, both for their clients and for the wider community. I want to congratulate them for that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And I wish that you have a very, very successful seminar, and that as you leave here today, you'll be more equipped to, I don't want to say equipped, but you'll be more equipped to function and excel in the new environment that is evolving. Thank you very much, and good morning.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank the minister for his words. And I was dating myself, putting some serious dates on myself, and I told him I attended his high school some years ago. All right. But we want to continue along with the program. I just want to, before I introduce the guest speaker, does anyone have an agenda? So So our seminar today, Grand Thornton, is navigating the value-added tax system. We have the minister who's already spoken. We have been informed that Mr. John Roll may not join us today, but certainly we are collaborating with the value-added tax team. I must say that they've been very helpful and they've been very responsive. Some of their representatives are here, and also they've lent us Mr. Delaney free of charge for the day. No vow on that. And then also Mr. Alexander Wolf, who I was so excited, not to pick him up from the airport. And we were talking about two accountants talking about value-added tax all the way from the airport yesterday. And so he's excited to speak to us today and answer any questions that you may have. If you look at the agenda, we're now on the second part, which is Alexander is going to speak to us on the key features of the VAT bill, defining the taxable input and supply, importing goods and services, and calculating taxes payable. And at that point, we will take a break. We also will move then after that session into defining value-added tax input and output tax and information systems monitoring. I want to also acknowledge at this point that we have also employees here today, and so we're also doing some training for them. And so they feel free to bump into them because we are trying to make sure that they are well informed about the value-added tax just as you are. At that point, I'm doing double duty today as a sort of a moderator. I am also doing a presentation where I will talk about the accountants and auditors' concerns in the VAT environment. I'm sure I see a number of accountants dispersed through the crowd. We'll talk a bit about the accountant's responsibility under this VAT system. And then you'll be really excited. You'll have proper record keeping and accounting. And then we talk about some of the specific nuances in some of the industries, medical, retail, financial services, and utilities. I've been informed by Mr. Delaney, who represents the VAT unit, that he's eager to answer any questions that you have today. So we're going to give him a double lunch. And also, Alex and I will chime in to assist him in that regard. We're going to invite him now. He's very bashful, but we're going to invite him now to join us. I think he was looking at our size and saying, he doesn't necessarily want to sit so close to us, but if you could move to the podium, please. Mr. Delaney, it's point. Okay. Mr. Delaney is a noted accountant, and he's with Delaney and Associates, and he's been out there on the circuit talking about value-added tax for some time now. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Alex for short, Alexander Wolf. He's a senior VAT manager, international indirect tax in the UK. He's an international value-added tax specialist with 9 years of experience providing domestic, pan-European, and global value-added tax advisory services. He has provided advice to a large and varied client portfolio with a particular focus on the media, technology, and digital sectors. He was telling me yesterday that he was one of the first, or the first manager to be seconded to the US to work with, imagine the US, but they've actually been doing some value-added tax issues with some of their international entities. He's provided SME support, small, medium enterprise support to audits, due diligence exercises, tax engine implementations, and supply chain and procurement reviews. And as it says here, he was seconded in September 2010 to Grand Thornton LLP in Chicago for 18 months. Did you read about it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. He provided international indirect tax advice to U.S. clients with a global footprint. He spent time training tax practitioners in the U.S. firm and clients on the concept of the value-added tax system and key associated commercial issues. He's also acted as a global indirect tax project manager for Grand Thornton, referring indirect tax issues to the relevant member firms of Grand Thornton International. Alex has had numerous articles published, including in Bloomberg's Indirect Taxes Journal and Chief Executive Magazine. I think it's probably here, but we would also invite you to join up in, I probably want to be the teacher now and actually show your hands. We know that a lot of professionals are part of the LinkedIn group, and Alex actually has a LinkedIn Grand Thornton Value-Added Tax group. I'd encourage you to search for his name, and he actually had an article which was written by myself on value-added tax, which was featured in his LinkedIn group. So he's been, anything value-added tax, he's searches for I think he must have some kind of software that searches for value-added tax. But we want you to really link into that LinkedIn group, no pun intended. Get with the LinkedIn group so you can be appraised of value-added tax. It also goes by a different name, GST, the services tax, I think in New Zealand. And so we want you to link into that group so you can become familiar. This is coming where to be prepared for it on. And so we are here at Grant Thornton to help you. And Alex is hopefully at the end of the day will be able to provide you with a lot of information. He facilitates the Grant Thornton International Indirect Tax Level 2 course. He has the association of, he's a qualifications and membership. He's an associate in the Association of Tax Technicians, and he also is a member of the Institute for Professionals in Taxation. This might seem a little self-serving, but I want to congratulate my managing partner, who would think that we have to become members of an international tax body. So several days ago, we qualified to become members of the Institute for Professionals in Taxation. And so this is where we are realizing we're old folks, Andy's a little older than me, but we're now living in a world where the tax method is changing and becoming a little bit more complex, and so we as partners, and they also encouraging our staff to become members of this international taxation body, and so that you can become, I think they really sent us some emails on current tax issues and value-added tax issues. Alex, as we close, Alex graduated from the University of Durham, receiving a BA with honors in history. And he also is a certified implementer of the One Source Indirect Tax Compliance Program. So again, we will ask Alex at this point to come up, and we will get started with our readiness seminar. Thank you, Alex.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Can everyone hear me at the back? Good, some nods. Hopefully you can understand the accents. So by way of background, as Hendrik said, I'm from Grant Thornton, UK in London. So I flew over yesterday via Miami, and it's good to see the Bahamas try to welcome me with a reminder of British weather. When I arrived, it was pouring with rain. I'm hoping the weather improves for the weekend, and I'm very pleased to be here in the Bahamas, my first time, and my first view is that this is a fantastic set of islands, and really pleased to be here. I'd like to thank the Minister, Kendrick and Andy, and all the staff at Grant Thornton for making this happen. And hopefully we're going to have a really good morning talking about value-added tax. So I thought I'd start by just looking at the key concepts of value-added tax, VAT. This is a tax which is a global tax. You're going to see in a minute, we've already had a sneak preview as the slides on the screen went by, but it's a tax that's been adopted by virtually every single economy across the globe. So what is it? Well, value-added tax, VAT, the VAT tax, as the Americans like to call it, is a consumption tax. It's an indirect tax. It's charged and collected by businesses. Businesses act as unpaid tax collectors on behalf of the government. The tax is levied at every single stage of the supply chain. So there's no concept of resale exemption, which currently exists in the US. And it has a very, very broad scope. You'll see that for VAT, something is not defined as taxable. The assumption is everything is taxable unless it's specifically relieved at a zero rate or there's an exemption. So just a bit of background. As Hendrik said, I graduated with a degree in history, so I do like to kind of look back and see the origins of tax. It was actually the brainchild of a German towards the end of the First World War. This German industrialist was looking at the fiscal deficit in Germany after the war and came up with this concept of levying a tax at every single level. He thought this was really, really efficient and that there wouldn't be any tax leakage. There was then a number of years went by, and it was finally adopted after the end of the Second World War by the French. And it was first introduced by the French government under the name taxe sur la valeur ajoutée, which a direct translation is tax on the value added. And that's why today we have VAT. It was introduced in the UK in the early 1970s. This was a prerequisite requirement for the UK joining the European community. And today, every single member of the EU has a value-added tax, and in fact, they harmonise their system. So at the time, the British Chancellor announced this tax. He stood up on a podium and said, VAT, this is a simple tax. But many years later, we're still seeing a lot of case law. We're still seeing a lot of ambiguity, challenge, and modifications to the tax as it expands. And this is just quite a fun quote, which I picked out from a piece of British case law a few years ago. I'm just saying, for VAT purposes, sometimes things are a bit strange. So you have to really drill down to the detail. So from one country adopting VAT in 1954, it's really grown, it's really spread across the globe. And today, over 150 countries globally have a VAT or GST system. Every single major economy in the world has a VAT tax, with the exception of the US. It's even been whispered that the US are contemplating introducing VAT, but I know there are massive political hurdles to that. And as well as having this at a federal system, there are quite a number of countries that have also adopted a similar tax at a federal, state and municipal level. And of course, in under 100 days' time, the Bahamas is going to join that list. And this is quite a nice graphic up here, just showing how VAT has spread across the globe. You can see that the US really stands out, together with a few war zones and tax havens that don't have any consumption tax. And it's interesting to note that as well as the Bahamas, I suppose the next group of countries who traditionally haven't had a VAT, like the Gulf states, including Dubai, Malaysia is introducing a GST, which is the same as VAT with effect 1st of April next year too. So I'm sure Malaysia will be watching the Bahamas situation very carefully. But it's not just the implementation of VAT that's spreading. The global trend is there's a real emphasis on indirect tax. So globally, we've seen corporate tax rates, social security rates go down, while the average rate of VAT keeps rising. That may be for some political reasons, but really it's a very efficient tax. It's got a very wide tax base, and it taxes consumption, which the OECD have keep reaffirming. That seems to be a fair approach. It's just worth noting here the average rate of VAT in Europe is just north of 20%. So very high compared to the standard rate that's coming in the Bahamas of 7.5%. Believe it or not, in Hungary, in Europe, they actually have a rate of 27%. Yep, and I think they'd actually like to raise it a bit higher. There's been murmurs of a 30-something% tax on luxury items, which of course is very unpopular. But what we're going to see later on is, as well as a standard rate, a lot of countries also have reduced rates and zero rates and various exemptions. One of the key features of the VAT system in the Bahamas is there aren't going to be as many exemptions and there aren't reduced rates available. And so with that wider tax base, the government's been able to lower the standard rate to only 7.5%, which I think is a positive measure. So I said before, value-added tax has a very, very broad scope. There's no list of what's taxable. In fact, the scope is merely defined as applying to goods and services. What is the supply of goods? Well, we're looking at real or tangible properties. And what services defined as? Anything that isn't goods. So you have that massive definition. And VAT is chargeable either at the standard rates or the zero rates on all goods and services unless they are specifically exempted or for some reason they're just removed from the scope of VAT based on other rules. And we'll look at those a bit later on. One of the themes I think I'm going to emphasize a lot today is the theme of transparency. B2B, business-to-business transactions, VAT for most businesses shouldn't be a genuine cost. It's charged, collected, but then recovered by the customer. There are exceptions when businesses are exempt or partially exempt, and we're going to consider that in further detail later. But because there's this need for transparency, all documentation, all accounting, even down to the legals, the language used by sales and marketing, it really has to be really open and transparent on VAT. And you'll see that when VAT is introduced in the business-to-business environment, VAT will always be itemized, clearly shown, and it will be shown on a compliant VAT invoice or tax invoice, and that then becomes the audit trail, the evidence to take a credit, the evidence to recover that VAT. The situation may be a bit different when we look at B2C, sales to private consumers. Generally across the globe, VAT is quite invisible to the end consumer. That's because for countries that had VAT for generations, people are just used to paying VAT. There's a very wide base, and it merely becomes a component of the price that the vendor determines. And so we often see there are natural price points, and that will then have to just take into account VAT. It's certainly not like the US, where you go into a store, it still gets me, even after spending almost a year and a half there. Something on the store shelf says it costs $1. I take my can of Coke up to the checkout with my dollar, and they say, actually, no, it's $1.04. And I'm stuffed, and I'm then have to pay for